like that, like something like that. I'm always very
Rabbi, it doesn't work. We can't see you. Come look.
Oh, good God.
Hi, Lois.
She wants to get to see her overhead.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Shabbat shalom.
My computer is down. I can talk after service. I'm sorry.
Page 373 in our prayer books. 373 in the back.
Good evening, Shabbat Shalom. Over the past year and a half, our community, our country, and our world have faced a global pandemic. Many have suffered physical illness. Throughout this time, our prayers have focused on healing of the body. However, many in our community have suffered in spirit. Many have faced the illness or loss of loved ones. Many have experienced mental illness and have had it exacerbated by anxiety and isolation during this pandemic. Addiction and domestic violence also have increased. This new year, we turn our prayers to the healing of mind and spirit. The Shabbat between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is called Shabbat Shuvah, the Sabbath of return. Please take the next 45 to 60 minutes as an opportunity to turn your thoughts inward and pray for the healing of the mind. This evening, we will hear the voices of our congregants, including leaders of Nefesh, the Beth Haim Task Force, whose goal is to nourish the mind, body, and soul of our members. We now turn to the lighting of Shabbat candles, led by Alana Burley.
Flip to the beginning of our prayer books, page 2.
All healing is first a healing of the heart. Not me, no. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu b'nei Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you, Alana. We now turn to Kiddush on page 5. I'll ask everyone who's able to please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho ve'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereishit ומיום תחילה למקרא קודש זכר יציאת מצרים קיבלנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון ננחלנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Chaim. Invite you to turn around, greet your neighbor, and wish him Shabbat Shalom. And Mark Purkis, you're up on deck. We'll stay standing for just another moment. We have a reading from Mark Purkis.
Well enough that one could fracture one's legs and arms and recover afterwards. But I did not know that you could fracture the brain in your head and recover from that too. Vincent Van Gogh.
Page 28. right up to the microphone, as close as you can get.
The humanity we all share is more important than the mental illnesses we may not. Ellen R. Sept.
Turn to page 34, and if you're comfortable doing so, I invite you to close your eyes. We're going to recite Shema together, but each word will be dedicated one breath. So we'll breathe in deeply, we'll recite the first word Shema until we're out of breath. Inhale again, and recite Yisrael with one breath until we finish the first line, and then we'll recite the second line a little more quietly as we normally would. Please be seated. Turn to the back of our books again, page 343. And Karen's going to share a little bit about how we came to this text on page 343.
But normally at this point in the service, we would sing Mi Chamocha, which is a quote from the Bible, from Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea, when the Israelites marched through the Sea of Reeds, and they cried out, they sang this big poem. And kind of in the middle of the poem is the line, Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, who is like you among all the gods, Adonai. But also appearing elsewhere in that same poem is this line, Ozi v'zimrat yah vayihili Yeshua. Traditionally translated, God is my strength and my might, and God has become my salvation. However, the word zimra in Hebrew also means song. So you could read this, God is my strength and my song, which is a translation that I'm kind of partial to. And God has become my salvation.
Turn to the front of the book, page 42. As we ask God to spread the divine shelter over us, Sukkot Shalom, this temporary structure that we pray will offer us some wholeness, some peace. And while we are not quite yet at the festival of Sukkot, we are in a tent outside, so a little taste of what's to come.
Starts on line 3. Ufosaneinu Sukkah
page 44.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים והארץ, וביום השביעי שבת, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
We'll now hear from Alicia Lifflin.
Mental health problems don't define who you are. They're something you experience. You walk in the rain and you feel the rain, but more importantly, you are not the rain in that case.
Thank you. We turn to page 46 for Amidah, our standing prayer, and I ask everyone to rise as they are able. And please note, we'll have a couple of different words in your Amidah this evening as we are in Shabbat Shuvah, a very special Shabbat between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur that calls for some extra words. וחותנו בספר החיים למענך אלוהים חיים. וחוזר מושיע מגן, ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, וחיי הכל אתה והושיע, מוריד אתה. וחכה חיים וחסד, וחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ואופן חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו אישי יפן. מחמוך בגבורות, ומדוממה, מלך מביט ומחיה, ומצליח ישועה. מחמוך הרחמים, זוכר יצוריו, לחיים ורחמים, ונאמן אתה
hayon ha'o. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh ha'o. Atah kadosh, v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yahallelu b'selah. Baruch atah Adonai, hamelech hakadosh.
I invite up Bettina Heller as I ask everyone else to please be seated.
My Depression by Alvin Saloni. I have fallen into blackness, a hole, a cave without light. How deep is this pain? This loneliness, this suffering and isolation. God of old, I call out to you from the depths of confusion and fear. What balm will ease my suffering? What consolation will guide me? I am afraid and ashamed. I am sad and lost. God of healing, be the light that guides me back to myself, back to my joy, back to my holiness and wonder. I know your healing power, your salvation and grace. Lead me on a journey back to wholeness and to self-respect. Help me to live a life of happiness and love.
We'll now need the first three words on page 58. Modim anachnu lach. We are grateful to you, and as one of the first Shabbatot in the month of September, we're going to celebrate tonight all September birthdays and anniversaries. If that's you, I'd love you to rise at your seat. And then Andrew, let me know who on Zoom we're celebrating. Oh, is that your anniversary together? Oh, very nice. How many years? Ann Berman Waldorf and Josh Waldorf. You need her fingers?
No.
33 years? Very nice, very nice. All right, any other anniversaries while we're in that neighborhood? Cheryl, how long have you intended to marry?
No sound.
Lovely years, fantastic. Same for you, Neil. Neil and Holly been married 23 years. Sorry, 43. So sorry. You earned that 43. All right, any more anniversaries? Michael? 36 for Michael and Ellen Schwartz. And anniversaries on Zoom. Oh, Vivian and Bill Newmark? Maybe it's 47, maybe it's Golden. All right, who do we have on Zoom and YouTube?
So first, Josh and I are only married 32 years. It felt so good, we added another. Cherise Salas has a birthday on September 20th and Rich Watson on September 17th.
Oh, happy birthday, and some more birthdays. Elliot. No, but you don't have to share how old you are or your birthday, but we have at least that one birthday in the crowd tonight. I married someone and gave birth to someone in this month, so happy birthday to Sean and Jonah. Any other birthdays or anniversaries? All right, let's say a really hearty Modim Anachnu Lach for everyone celebrating this month.
Modim anachnu lach, modim anachnu lach.
It is coming year be one of health and happiness. Mazel tov to all of you. Anything else you want to celebrate tonight? Ellen.
Serve Erev Rosh Hashanah with my mom and my brother and sister-in-law and one of my nephews. And the other extreme is that our forever long bathroom renovation has finally finished.
All right, to spend Erev Rosh Hashanah with close family and to have a brand new bathroom at last. All right, we'll say Modim Anachnu Lach.
Modim anachnu lach, modim anachnu lach.
Anything else you want to say thank you for this evening, Diana?
My granddaughter Sophia, who's from California, is now at the Duke School in Manhattan.
All right, so to have somebody close to you now, act physically close to you. Fantastic. Well, I hope she has lots of luck in her new position. And then some more on Zoom and YouTube.
People are very grateful for a good first week of school, both for students and teachers.
Good week, first week of school. All right, I'll second that motion. Anything else you want to say thank you for, Sherry?
My friend's nephew just had a baby on Rosh Hashanah.
Oh, baby on Rosh Hashanah. That's like a January 1st baby. Only good omens. Fantastic. All right, we'll say one last Madima Nafila.
Wait, just wait.
Nope.
We have great stuff. Rob Leader is grateful for the marriage of his son Daniel to Madeline, and Lisa, Noah, and Jacob Garwood are celebrating birthdays this month.
Whoa, lots of birthdays in the Garwood house and a wedding in the Laner house. Fantastic. And now I invite up Harry Greenblatt for another blessing on the theme of healing, and this one's for a new year. So on her birthday with a reading.
Thank you, everybody.
Or her birthday month.
This is another poem by Alden Soloby. We just heard from Alden Soloby, and this, in fact, is, I can't say for sure because I haven't consulted him, but he does use some of the same metaphors. So I think it's a continuation of what he began in his last poem that was read by Bettina. It is called For the New Year by Alden Soloby. God of time and space, hand of rhythm and grace, you granted me moments and breath, life like a river, rapids and flat, deep narrow canyons and bright open skies, thundering, churning waters and calm, gentle flows, a life of beauty and wonder, beyond my understanding, beyond my wildest dreams, and yet, and still, Heavenly Redeemer, you also give me choices to live in grief or joy, fear or awe, tears or laughter, to live my life in glory and radiance, a shining light of kindness and love. God of all beings, may the new year bring us closer to you and each other, guided by justice and mercy, a joyous celebration of life in its fullness. Grant us wisdom and compassion as we witness birth and death, marriages and divorces, monumental joy and crushing loss. Help me stay awake and open, embracing each new moment with dignity, vitality, charity, so that I too may be of gentle service to those in need. In gratitude for your gift, Holy One, bless this new year with health and happiness, family and friendship, prosperity and peace.
And let us say, Amen. We turn to page 60 in our prayer books for Shalom Rav, our prayer for peace.
Shalom Rav Israel Kasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Israel Kasim Leolam. Yatahu Melech Hador Lekol HaShalom. Yatahu Melech Hador Lekol HaShalom. Shalom Rav Israel Amcha Kasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Israel Amcha Kasim Leolam. V'tov echad levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Israel Amcha Kasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Israel Amcha Kasim Leolam. V'iter Chaim bracha v'shalom ופרנסה טובה. נתבשר ונתהדר
We take a few moments for silent prayer. For some, find comfort in the words of our prayer books. Others may want to close their eyes, listen to the music of the night around us, or follow the beating of our own hearts and focus on our own breath. We'll hear again from Mark Perkins.
Just because no one else can heal or do your inner work for you doesn't mean you can, should, or need to do it alone. Lisa Olivero.
Our prayer for healing can be found on page 253 in the middle of the page, 253 in the middle of our prayer books. And this is a healing service tonight. And I've watched as our list before Mishu Barak at the congregation has grown over the last year and a half. And it's not only that more people have become ill in one way or another, but I think that more people are seeking out wholeness and healing with our B'chaim family. And so with each name that I read when I come to them, we'll know that there is a community behind them, people who love and care about them, who are sending out prayers for healing, support, care, and kindness. Before we read the names on my list, I'd love to hear any names that you have to share, folks who are in need of healing. Sherry, start us off.
Jessica Ferris, Jonathan Rockham Mayor, Sandra Butt the Illustrator, Tana Butt Elka, Tabitha Butt Miriam, Kaya Leva Butt Zeta, Manya Zima Butt Malka, Susan Shane Linder, Sandy Wellman, Menachem Mendel Ben Rachel, James Mark, Yehuda Noel Yaakov Ben Connor Leva, Rabbi Yom Tov Chaim Ben Kaya Leva, Aharon Ben Kaya Leva.
Real answer. Those who are suffering because of the tragic event 20 years ago tomorrow, and those who suffer left behind in that kind of life.
Very good. Stephen Thompson and Johan
Barbara Brooks,
Rahava Badrika,
Gloria Pyro to the loss of the husband, old Paul to the loss of husband. Here's the
Rick Holmes,
Yeah.
Oh, Sarah Walker and Sarah Thomas.
Dr. Turner.
Elizabeth Rebecca Canida and Lisa Martin.
Those names we add: Rhoda Schwartz, Arlene Grable, Hetty Molaski, Noah Hecker, Marvin and Ginny Gittleman, Bob Gast, Elaine Berkowitz, Barbara Gladstone, Rosalie Krieger, Dorothy Jason, Jill Sava, Israel Binyamin, Lisa Scher, Lou Baskin, Lois Baskin, Erica Taylor, Sandra Schachter, the Weisberg and Evans family, Bernard Greenwald, Gail Malter, Avram Glazer, Iris Horowitz, Scott Horowitz, Nikki Van Rensburg, Howard Sal, Sharon Fallett, David Hughesman, Catherine Isnardi, Louis Jacobs, Bobby Schwartz, Lisa Garwood, Mary Delahanty, Shree Harden, Denise Dvorkin, Stuart Patz, Stephen Patz, Mary Bloomberg, Fran Stuckey, Richard Weiss, Pete Michelson, Esther Rakoff, Leslie Kramer, Stephen Finver, Marjorie Estrin, Nat Salacco, Rachel Blatt, Kay Josephson, Owen Learfeld, Les and Joanne Friedemann, Erica Trojan, Joan Cutler, Marilyn Silverberg, Estelle Cohen, and Mark Cohen, and many who I'm adding are mentioned on Zoom and YouTube. We turn to the middle of page 253 for a prayer for healing and wholeness. Saul was the first king of Israel. You can read his story in the biblical book of Samuel, the beginning of which we read on the first day of Rosh Hashanah as the Haftarah portion. Saul was tall and handsome and from a wealthy family. His reign began with military campaigns to unite the 12 tribes of Israel and to defeat their enemies, especially the Philistines. But Saul had a trying time as king. His job was to balance God's demands with the needs and desires of his people. He repeatedly received harsh criticism from the prophet Samuel and was ultimately rejected by God. It is no surprise then that the Bible tells us that the spirit of the eternal departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the eternal tormented him. Modern scholars believe that King Saul's mental health took a turn for the worse at this point in the story. The only thing that would calm him was the lyre playing of a young shepherd boy named David. But this remedy would not last forever. Ultimately, Saul became paranoid and saw enemies and conspirators around every corner. He even turned on David, the one person who could alleviate his unwell heart and mind. By the end of the first book of Samuel, Saul is wounded in battle against the Philistines on Mount Gilboa. Believing all is lost, Saul asked his armor-bearer to end his life. When the armor-bearer was unwilling and afraid, Saul took his own sword and fell upon it. While Saul's death makes sense in its historical military context, I cannot separate how his life ended with how he struggled to live. As someone who has known far too many people who have died by suicide, I find King Saul's story hard to read. I cannot help but wonder how his end might have been different if he had received the help that he needed. September is National Suicide Prevention Month, and tonight we near the close of National Suicide Prevention Week. This year, this period of education and advocacy just so happens to coincide with the Jewish New Year. Throughout the High Holy Days, we recite Untitled, words that wonder who will live and who will die in the coming year. In their work to prevent suicide, many Jewish organizations have been quoting the Talmud, which teaches that saving a single life is like saving an entire world. The conclusion drawn here is that everyone can and should play a role in suicide prevention. And while many of us have become increasingly comfortable talking about mental health in general, the topic of suicide is still scary for many people to think about. Some are afraid that by asking someone if they're having thoughts of suicide, it will put the idea in their head or push them to die by suicide. However, research shows that's not true. Some are worried that they won't know what to do or how to help if a person tells them, yes, I'm thinking about suicide. It's only by learning more about what leads someone to suicide, the ways we can help to prevent it, and what resources are available, and not being afraid to ask when we're worried about someone or for help when we need it ourselves, that we can empower our communities to address this cause of death, the 10th leading cause of death in our nation, and the 2nd among young people ages 10 to 24. The 2nd leading cause of death of young people ages 10 to 24. I want to share with you a few signs that someone may have suicidal ideation, so you know what to look out for. Is someone in your life withdrawing from friends or family? Angry? Having trouble sleeping and eating? Making jokes about suicide? Or feeling hopeless? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, here are 6 ways from the Wellness Institute that you can take action to be there for someone who is struggling or in crisis. Learn the risk factors and warning signs, including the ones I just mentioned. Check in by phone or text message to see how they are doing. Help connect them to professional care. Send a handwritten card to let them know you are thinking of them. Share the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number, 1-800-273-8255. And do you mind putting that in the chat box? 1-800-273-8255. Or you can invite them to meet for a coffee or a meal. Each of us can take any of these steps to save a life, and we know how every life is connected to so many others. Every life matters. In just a few days on Yom Kippur morning, we will read these words of Torah. I call heaven and earth to witness you today. I have put before you life and death, blessing and curse. Therefore, choose life. While there are many ways to interpret this verse, I hear it this week as a clarion call to prevent suicide, to help those who are struggling to choose life, to save their world. I'm particularly fond of the Hasidic teaching to carry a slip of paper in each pocket. When we are feeling high and mighty, maybe even a little full of ourselves, we should take out the slip of paper that reads, I am but dust and ashes. But when we are feeling low and in need of some uplift, we should take out the other slip of paper that reads, the world was created for my sake. If we share this second sentiment with everyone who needs to hear it, then we can save lives. and the worlds those lives touch. As I quoted Simone Biles on Rosh Hashanah, mental health is physical health. Join me and Nefesh and Congregation B'Chaim in preventing suicide by prioritizing mental health this week, this month, this year, and beyond. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will. We turn back to our prayer books as I ask everyone to please rise as you are able. Page 282, Aleinu. And do I have 2 volunteers to open the ark tonight? Anyone who hasn't had a chance to participate in the service? Camille and Cheryl, thank you so much. Page 282 in your prayer book.
עלינו לשבח אדון הכל, והתהי שנולד ליוצר בראשית, שנבונות השמיים ויוצר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים, ואלוהינו אלוהי, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Everyone, please be seated. The Shabbat Shuvah is generating quite a lot of loss. One of the reasons why we dedicate this service to healing. I want to acknowledge as we approach Mourner's Kaddish on page 294, the 650,000 and more deaths in our nation due to COVID-19 since the beginning of the pandemic. More than 47,500 people die by suicide in the United States each year. And tomorrow we commemorate the 20th anniversary of the attacks on our country, 9/11, where almost 3,000 lives were taken. And in honor of this powerful day, I know I've been hearing quite a lot about it on the news this week, we dedicate this prayer also by Alvin Sullivan. Creator of all, source and shelter, grant a perfect rest under your tabernacle of peace to those who died in the 9/11 attacks on the United States. Remember the works of their hands and the message of their hearts. Grant their families peace and comfort for your name's sake and for the sake of those who perished. Bring an end to violence and terror speedily in our days. May their memories be sanctified with joy and love. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life, a living blessing in our midst. If you lost a loved one on that fateful day 20 years ago tomorrow, I ask you to please rise at your seat. Would you like to share your cousin's name? And I will read other names when we are remembering this Shabbat. And if I call out your loved one's name, I'll ask you to please rise at your seat. This week we laid to rest Margaret Leah Linton, mother of David Linton. And these loved ones are in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning. David Linton also laid to rest his cousin, Deborah Deutschweb. Karen Brodsky lost her cousin, Dr. Robert Bennett. Kim Black said goodbye to her father, Henry William Dunn. And remember these yard sites, the anniversary of the passing of these members of our greater Bethlehem family. Shirley Ravitch, Herbert Black, Lillian Boyarsky, Stephen Goldstein, Martha Goldman, Becky Bookbinder, Deborah Greenberg, Stephen Harris, Edward Horowitz, Sandra Janowski, Stephen Richard Watcher, Hazel Siegel, Bernard Clemenson, Betty Moak, Stanley Lane, Larry Resnick, Harry Rothman, Marjorie Sheffield, Irving Thompson, Aaron Jacobs, Holly Mann, Nunn, Dottie Offrock, Isabel Joffe Albert, Harvey Bakerman, Sadie Hammer, Nathan Jacobs, Edith Kressel, Claire Muroff, Teresa Diamond, Esther Kutkowski, Gertrude Spiegelin, Ethel Nathanson, and Harry Wolf. We rise as we're able as one community to recite the words on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadosh Shemei Rabbah, Yalmad Yivra V'yutei V'yamlich Malchutei, V'chayekon V'yamekon, V'chayei V'chol Beit Yisrael, V'agala U'lizman Karim V'yimru Amin. Yehei Shemei Rabbah Nevarach, Olam U'amei Almaya, Yivarach V'yishvach V'yifar V'yifromach V'yinaseh, Yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei v'kudusha v'richu le'ila v'yinkol v'yirchata v'shirata v'yishbechata v'nechemata ta'aniran v'yalma v'yimru amen Yehei shema rabba v'im shemaya v'chaim avinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen Oseh shalom v'rama hu ya'aseh shalom avinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Yichonam Livracha, may their memories always be protected. Please be seated. It's my pleasure to invite up Michael Schwartz to share a few announcements with us.
Hello, my name is Michael Schwartz. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Congregation Beth Chaim, thank you for joining us this evening for a special Shabbat Shuvah healing service. Tomorrow morning, our weekly Shabbat Torah study will be the 10th at 8:45 a.m. Tuesday evening, the Executive Committee will meet at 7:30 p.m. Choir rehearsal is also at 7:30 p.m. Wednesday evening, Yom Kippur begins with the Erev Yom Kippur Kol Nidre service with the choir starting at 7:30 p.m. This service will be in person in the sanctuary and live streamed on Zoom and YouTube. Yom Kippur day services include 9 a.m. Yom Kippur morning service on the 10th, 11:30 a.m. Yom Kippur morning service with choir in the sanctuary and live streamed to Zoom and YouTube. 2 p.m. Yom Kippur study session. 2 p.m. pre-reader family service in the 10th and on YouTube. 3:30 p.m. Yizkor Memorial Service will be offered both in the sanctuary and tent. 4:30 p.m. Mincha afternoon service in sanctuary and YouTube. 6 p.m. Eilah including service in the sanctuary, Zoom and YouTube. Followed by Havdalah and Shofar blowing in the tent at 6:30 p.m. Reminder that if you wish to attend services in person, whether in the tent or in the sanctuary, and do not yet have tickets, please call the office on Monday or Tuesday. The JFCS Mobile Food Pantry will be parked in our lot for the High Holy Day food drive, sponsored by Dixie. Please remember to bring your donation. Yom Kippur services will be broadcast on the same Zoom link as Rosh Hashanah. The reminder email with that link will be sent out to members Tuesday afternoon. Please join every Friday night at 7:30 p.m. for Shabbat services. Visit our website, bethchaim.org, for details about upcoming events. Thank you for being a valued member of our community. Shabbat Shalom. Sweet and Happy New Year.
For our closing song tonight, we turn to page 358. 358 near the bottom for a High Holy Day favorite. This is one of the recurring themes of these days of awe, and you'll be hearing a lot more about it on Yom Kippur morning, as is the core text of my sermon.
Ashivenu, Ashivenu, Adonai Elecha, Ve'ashuva, Ve'ashuva, Chadesh, Chadesh, Yameinu Kedem, Ashivenu, Ashivenu, Adonai Elecha, Ve'ashuva, Ve'ashuva, Chadesh, Chadesh, Yameinu Kedem. I also want to be sure we thank Nefesh for organizing tonight's service. Really, Ellen Tayson did so much of the heavy lifting. Thank you so much for finding our readings and finding our readers. And I look forward to doing more work together with you, both on mental health, but healing and health of all kinds. We'll hear one last reading from her son, Evan.
Promise me you'll always remember. You're braver than you believe, and stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. Christopher Robin's Winnie the Pooh.
I'll ask everyone to please rise for our closing prayer words of wholeness.
Yivrechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless us and protect us.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha.
Even in our darkest moments, may we feel God's light, and may God be gracious to us.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May we never feel alone, as the divine presence is always with us, and may we be blessed with shalom and shleimut, peace and wholeness.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom.